Okay, so for lesson 6.2, it is titled Negative Exponents. So, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be talking about what happens if we have our base with a negative exponent. And we're still working with the same LEQ. We're still talking about how can I know and apply the properties of exponents to generate equivalent numerical expressions. Again, the property that we're working with today is just a property with negative exponents. So you, by the end of today, should know how to simplify expressions with negative exponents. Go ahead and open up your Springboard books to page 75, and we're going to look together at example A. So example A says, consider the expression 4 to the power of 3 divided by 4 to the power of 8, and simplify the expression by using your quotient rules. So yesterday you learned that when you have a division problem, that you can subtract the exponents. So here, 4 to the power of 3 minus 8, and if we look at our integer rules, if this is 0, 1, 2, 3, we're at 3, we are taking away 8. So we go 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. So we end up at negative 5. So this would be 4 to the power of negative 5. Now that is done correctly using the division rules, but it has a negative exponent, so it's not in the simplest form. Negative exponents would not be considered in the simplest form. So now it wants us to look at the same problem, but to look at it with the numerator and the denominator in expanded form. So remember, this top number is the numerator, the bottom are the denominator. So here, 4 to the power of 3 is 4 times 4 times 4. 4 to the power of 8 would be 8 times. Then we could go through and we could cancel out our problems. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Okay, and again, these just become ones. They don't disappear, but 4 divided by 4 is 1. So what I'm left with down here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 to the power of 5. So I could write that as 1 over 4 to the power of 5. That's the same thing as 4 to the negative fifth. So comparing these two results, 4 to the power of negative 5 versus 1 over 4 to the fifth. If I'm looking at this right here, they have now become, they're equivalent expressions. But this right here is what we would call the reciprocal. Okay, that right there is what we would call the reciprocal. So my rule for multiplying expressions with negative exponents is that I can write negative exponents as the reciprocal. Okay, so go ahead and get that into your notes. Hit pause right now and get that into your notes. And then we're going to go through an example. So here it says a negative exponent becomes positive when written oops, when written as the multiplicative inverse. So negative exponent becomes positive when written as a multiplicative inverse. So I want you to remember that the inverse, the multiplicative inverse, for a lack of better word, is when it is flipped. So that's the numerator and that's the denominator. The inverse, or the reciprocal, is when it's the denominator divided by the numerator. Okay, so that would be its inverse. Okay, so let's take the example. Let's do 4, 4 to the power of 2 over 4 to the power of 5. I can use my quotient rules that I learned yesterday, and then that would be 4, an equivalent expression would be 4 to minus 5, which is the same thing as 4 to the negative third. I've got to remember my integer rules too, my positives and negatives, my integer rules, which is the same thing as 1 over 4 to the third. Okay? Because this here with a negative exponent became the reciprocal. That would be me showing it in exponential form. If I were to show this in expanded form, it would look like this. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to label this exponential form. So then in standard form, I'm sorry, not standard, expanded form. Here we go. Four times 4 divided by 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I go through them, those become 1, those become 1. So I'm left with 1 times 1, which is 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4 to the power of 3. They have the exact same value, the exact same answer. So right now what I want you to do is I want you to pause, and I want you to turn and talk to your partner to summarize what we just did. Explain what we just did. Then I want you to go ahead and I want you to turn to the try these A, and we'll pick up there. Great, so for the try these A, we have x to the third power, and the first question is asking us to write this in expanded form over x to the power of 5. So here they cancel, they cancel, they cancel. I'm left with 1 because they canceled a 1. So it becomes 1 times 1 times 1. So I'm left 1 over x squared, or 1 over x to the power of 2. I could also think of this as x to the power of 3 minus 5. That's x to the power of negative 2, which is the same thing if I were to take that negative out, I would write it as its reciprocal. Okay, so my results for A and B, x to the negative 2, actually equals 1 over x squared. Okay, so the last couple of points today, go ahead to make on this topic, go ahead and turn to page 76. And the thing I want to point out here is that whenever you do this, so if you had x to the power of 4 minus x to the power of 2, that would give you x to the power of 2, because 4 minus 2 is a positive 2. So for this one right here, let's compare that one to this one. So x to the power of 2 minus x to the power of 4, because in division you subtract. So this would give you x to the negative 2. So you have x squared and then x to the power of negative 2. The only one that you would need to write as the reciprocal is x to the power of negative 2. So right now, I want you to compare your answers. I just want you to turn and talk about why we wrote number 1 and number 2 the way we did. So why did we turn number 2 into the reciprocal? And what happened with the power? What happened with the exponent? Okay, why didn't we do that with number 1? So turn and talk to your partner about those two things. Okay, so now I actually want you to do the check your understanding, but you're going to do this in Schoology. Okay, you're going to put that into Schoology, and you're going to talk about it in Schoology, and then we'll talk about this as a class. Make sure in Schoology that you spend time like comparing those answers too. Great, so right now the video is ending, and you are going into Schoology and answering the check your understanding.